Hello, good afternoon. Welcome back to Kelly's Coffee and Crime Chat. This is Kelly, and I am back with episode 111, and this will be early access for my Patreon and Spotify premium subscribers. So it will drop on the podcast on Friday, and that will be, today is May 14th, the 17th, which is Friday, if I am correct. That's when it will drop. So, I am drinking Java Mama chocolate glazing. If I could say this right, chocolate glazing. And that is the chocolate donut flavor. A lot of things are going to be coming soon for Java Mama. And it is air roasted coffee and green and clean and better for your gut. Air roasted, so you don't taste the roaster, you taste the bean. And so many choices on that website, so many choices. Recently, though, I did find another type of coffee called Kitty Town. And proceeds, when you buy their coffee, proceeds go to shelter cats to feed a shelter cat. And every bag of coffee is named after a cat. Excuse me. And I'm pretty sure they have the K-Cups as well. I've only tried a couple. I've tried Tara's tiramisu. It's very good. Java Mama is my jam because it is air roasted. But I do like to try other coffees, and especially ones they give back. Both these companies are in Pennsylvania. So they are both here in the USA. And wonderful companies. So good. Okay. I ran across this case, and I know for sure I've heard it before because, and it may have been on maybe even more than one other podcast that I listened to. But I had forgotten about it because it's been a long time since I've heard about this woman. This is the story of Belle Gunness. And my sources are biography.com, wikipedia.com, sci-fi.com, which is SYFY, and chicagotribune.com. Amazing, I'm telling you. So grab your favorite brew, whether it's coffee, tea, or beer, or wine, or water, anything, and get ready. Here we go. Now, this is an old-time case, which I love, and I know a lot of other people love these old ones. Belle was born on November 11th, 1859, and her name was Brynhild Paulsdatter I have no idea how to say this last name. Storset. From Norway. She was born in Norway. That's why it's kind of a different name. Her father was a stonemason. I had to look this up. Stonemason is one that builds stone, repairs with stone, does repairs and all different things with stone. And she came to the United States when she was 21, looking for wealth. She changed her name to Belle. So, in 1884, she married her first husband. His name was Mads Sorensen. They both ran a candy shop together. And this was in Chicago, Illinois. And it was in 1886 that they were running the candy shop. And you would think a candy shop back then would be really good because, candy's good, And this was back in the days when you didn't get it like, I would think you wouldn't get it like now. But it was not booming by any means. They also had 2 children. And somehow the shop burned down. The candy shop burned down, and they got a pretty good life insurance sum. So because of this, they could purchase a house because their house had also burned down. So it was their house. At first, when I first read this, I thought, well, maybe their house is like upstairs or something from the candy shop. I don't know. I never found that out. But both places burned down. And both of their children had come down with colitis, which is inflammation of the large intestine. And I am here to tell you that is the most painful. Oh my gosh. I think that was worse than my it's right up there with the gallbladder. And it causes severe stomach cramps among all of these other symptoms. And they had it really bad. And back then they didn't have medication like they do now. Mad Sorensen. Now, their children had come down with the colitis and actually died. Mads Sorensen, that name is just something, had 2 life insurance policies. One day they overlapped, so one would expire when the other one picked up, but they overlapped. So that day that they overlapped, he died of heart failure. This was July 30th of 1900. He died of heart failure that day. And Belle cashed in on both policies, totaling $5,000. Now, back then, $5,000 was a lot. I was going to Google how much that would be today, and it really didn't even cross my mind, because I thought of it real quick, and then I was too busy getting into the story, and I just completely forgot. But back then, that's a lot of money. Then she moved to Indiana in LaPorte, if that's how you say that town, and bought a pig farm. On April 1st of 1902, Belle married a Norwegian immigrant named Belle Gunness. And he already had a baby boy from a previous marriage. A week into their marriage, the baby died while Belle was taking care of him. Unknown death. They don't know what he died of. Natural causes, I guess, is what they said. Now, in December of that same year, Peter tried to get something from a high shelf, and a meat grinder fell and crushed his skull. Now, murder was suspected from this because it was just like a meat grinder falling and crushing his skull. It just it was going all over the town. Murder was suspected, especially the kids in the school, but nothing came out about it. And Belle got $3,000 from Peter's death. Again, $3,000. That's a big sum of money back then. Okay. He had adopted a daughter, or she had an adopted daughter, which I could not find out when she was adopted, but her name was Jenny Olson. And I'm not sure exactly, like I said, she must have kept her the last name she had before, but because her last name was Olson. She was 14. She told a friend at school that Belle killed Peter, who she called them Mama and Papa. Mama killed Papa with a meat cleaver and told the person not to tell anyone. Well, somehow the coroner found this out. You know, we're not going to keep a secret about this. The coroner found out, and Jenny was called to see him. She denied it, what she said. She said she never said that and denied it. Then she wasn't seen anymore. Belle told the townsfolk that she left to attend a girls' school in Los Angeles. Belle then started putting personal ads in the paper saying triflers need not apply. Now, trifler, I had to look that up because I had no idea what that meant. It means someone who's shallow, a time waster, or a lazy person that don't know anything. They do not need to apply for her personal ad to find a man. She wanted to join fortunes with someone and stated she owned a large farm. Well, of course, this sounded good to a lot of men. They're like, oh, yeah. So some brought money with them to show Belle that they were well off and had the money to join fortunes with her. John Moe of Minnesota, this was in 1906. He was her first visitor, or suitor, I should say. He went missing right after he arrived. And then there were others. A carpenter who worked for Belle noticed John Moe's trunk was still in the house and several other ones. There were probably over a dozen trunks in that house. Whether or not she bought some, I think one source said that she bought her own. Another source speculated that they were from suitors who answered her ad. These guys signed over their bank accounts and everything to her. They were Henry Now, I'm going to try to not butcher these last names. Henry Gerholt. Olaf Svenherud. That reminded me of something Rose would say in The Golden Girls. This is a real name. Loe B. Budsberg. Olaf Lindblom. Andrew Hageline. And the list didn't stop there. Andrew Hageline, if I'm saying that right. It's Hegelein. His brother started to get suspicious. This was in 1908. He was starting to get suspicious because he never heard from his brother again. And when he was trying to find him, I don't know if he wrote to Belle or wrote to him at the farm. But when this happened, Belle's farmhouse burned down. They found 4 bodies in the ruins. 3 were Belle's foster children. So she had foster children too, and I never did find out when she had these foster children. I know that when you take care of foster children, you get paid so much money, I guess. She had 3 foster children, and the other was a headless adult. This was assumed to be Belle Gunness was the headless adult. But this wasn't all. They dug up the grounds. They found Belle's adopted daughter, Jenny Olson, and 2 more children, plus many male bodies, probably about over 40 people Belle had killed. And that's adults and children. That's the number together. I read that they found the bodies, which were basically skeletons in the ruins. One was too tall. It was either too tall or too short to be Belle. The headless one was too tall. I can't remember if it was too tall or too short. And the clothes, which I don't understand this because you'd think the clothes would burn. But I read that the clothes were not her size. They were too big or too small. Again, I don't remember. I read it real quick. And I was trying to find out more information on that, and I couldn't. Because there were skeletons. One of the sources I read said skeletons. So I don't know how they... I see how you can see if they're too tall, but I don't understand unless the clothes... the place burned to the ground. So unless there's a way they can tell the clothes, what size they were, I don't know. But Ray Lamphere, Lamphere, was Belle's hired hand. And even sometimes a lover of hers. He was convicted of arson in November of 1908 of Belle's home, basically saying he was the one who started the fire. He came out with Belle's secret of luring men to kill and rob them. She told him to burn her house with her children inside. That's what she told him to do. Mother of the year, right? Now, this is what he's saying, but you know what? I believe it. I believe that she would say that. He believes the headless adult is not Belle, but a victim planted there. He said a woman from Chicago who was promised to be hired as Belle's housekeeper was not seen again. And he thinks that that is the headless woman. Or body. Belle's death was never confirmed, but she drained her bank accounts shortly before the fire. Now, there's suspicion right there. She was nicknamed the Lady Bluebeard and Laporta Ghoul. The Laporta Ghoul. But that's suspicion right there. She drained her bank accounts, told him to set the fire with her kids inside. I did see a source it was the ChicagoTribune.com where they found teeth in the ruins and they think they're hers. I don't know if they had anything to compare to back then. Back then they didn't have, like nowadays you do dental records. Well, the head was missing. So, and I don't know if they ever said what happened to the head. Nobody knows. But yeah, they found just some teeth and they just thought that that was her teeth. Like I said, I didn't see any proof of this. There is a photo. I should have save that photo of the teeth to put on my photo dump in Instagram and Kelly's Coffee Crime Chat on Facebook, my Facebook group, because that's where I put all my photos. And then I also put them in Patreon, because Spotify Premium don't let you do that, but Patreon does. So I put photos in there as well. But that is the story of Belle Gunness. Look her up. She is one of the most early Midwest serial killers. Believe it or not, in the 1800s. I wish I had more. I was going to look up to see, again, another thing I forgot. I was going to look up to see if there were any books on her. Because if there was, that would be very, very interesting. And if there is, if I can find any books on her, I'll add it to the photo dump as well. But this was a woman who came from Norway to find wealth and was just very, very cold-hearted. I don't see how she could have loved anybody in her life. I never got much on her background, how she was raised, but oh my gosh, I just can't imagine being this morbid. Oh man. So, and she got away with a lot. And I have read, I did another case on here with back in those days when people owned farms, and it seemed like a lot of people went missing. There is a movie about this called The Farm. I do not know. You might be able to watch it on Amazon. I don't know where else it's shown, but it is called The Farm, which might not be too bad to maybe check out if you want to look that up. But I thought this was very interesting, and I'm looking for suggestions, because I really wanted to look for something old, like an old story that you could really be like, whoa, you know what I mean? And I was looking for a scam some of those, and the only one I did find was about a farmer, and which I didn't know, scammed everybody, marking all of his grains that he grew, his corn and everything, as organic. Got this organic seal on it and everything, and it wasn't organic. He had all this cheap grain he was passing off as organic, and that was actually a pretty good story to read. But then I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to have that on here, because I don't know if it'd be very interesting how I tell it. And I don't understand that much about agriculture, but boy, reading the article, I learned some stuff, about it, about GMOs. And so it is very interesting. I might do that story. And if I do, there's going to be another story in with it. That is a not similar scam, but also a scam with some similarities on the person who did it. There's just some similarities that made me think of this other one. So I might do that. I don't know. I mean, I like hearing that type of stuff, because it really opens your eyes like, wait a minute. I'm on an organic diet, and I thought I was eating all organic stuff, and I'm not. And to tell you the truth, there's no way to prove that something's organic. There really isn't. I mean, you just read the labels and there it is. And that's why I think it's a very important story to tell. So I might do some more, I looked up a lot of sources on it, and I might look at some more of those. And then there was another scam, a woman from Dixon, Illinois, and that was a big one. But I haven't really gotten into that very much. So this one was in Iowa with the organic grain farmer. So I am going to look into that more. I'm going to look into it more. I'm going to start taking some more notes. But I do have to prepare for bonus episode number 2 for May for Patreon and Spotify Premium. And I'm thinking I've got a couple picked out that I might want to do for that. Because with Spotify Premium or Patreon, you pay $5 a month and you get to listen to all of my bonus episodes, which are mostly 3 times a month. I think in March I only hit 2, or April, because that was when my dad passed and I wasn't home and I didn't have that much time. So there's one of those months where there's only 2. Other than that, there's 3, and I started that last September. So that's 9 months, 8.5 months. So with 3 episodes a month, 8 months, you do the math. I'm not 24 episodes for $5. You get to listen to all of them. Plus, you get my novel, Stranded in Time, which is a time travel story that takes place in 1975. So, I'm trying to think if I've watched anything recently. There is a couple things that most of the things I've watched is for research, but I did start watching I think I talked about this last time. I have not gotten any farther yet on the show on Hulu. Under the Bridge was the name of it, about the true crime story in Canada. I have not gotten further in that yet. I should watch maybe another episode of that. Because it is pretty good. I just wish they would center more on the story than some of the other stuff they're centering on in the story. And but so far it's pretty good. But I want them to get back to the actual story of the victim and the crime. So I hope they do that in the next episode. So yeah, that's a good one to check out on Hulu. And I recorded on ID last night. They had the Kevin Spacey thing. I didn't even know that was like gonna be on, but it talks about everything that went on with his crimes and everything that he had done. I think that's what it's about. So I recorded that, and of course it was late last night and I haven't been able to watch it yet. So, but if anybody has any suggestions, throw them my way, please. Anything in the Midwest, or if you want me to do a suggestion on a serial killer or a big story outside the Midwest that I can put on the premium or Patreon, either way. So the last one I did was the story of the from the Hitchcock movie Frenzy. That was actually taken loosely from an actual case, and that was very interesting. John Christie, that's the one. Very interesting story. So that's all for today. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. It has been rainy and cool here, believe it or not. It's kind of chilly coming home, so that's why I had to have my hot coffee. But so everybody have a wonderful wonderful week and the rest of May, and I hope everybody had a wonderful, wonderful Mother's Day. I didn't think this one was appropriate for Mother's Day, but I did it anyway. It's just Mother's Day, and we had a good Mother's Day with my mom. So that's all for today. Have a wonderful, wonderful day and weekend. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I will see you next time.